When we think of the Looney Tunes, we think of their classic cartoons that played for many years in cinemas and then we later consumed endlessly on television or on DVD. However, Warner Brothers has experimented multiple times with putting Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and the rest of those wacky tunes in a feature-length format. Their first attempt was a series of compilation features, starting in 1979 and continuing on throughout the 1980s. The first compilation film was the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie, or as it was sometimes called, The Great American Chase. This was the strongest of the features, as it took the best approach with the cartoons by playing them mostly uncut, with the only bridging segments being Bugs Bunny introducing them. Him referencing some of the names responsible for the Looney Tunes, like Friz Freleng, Chuck Jones, Robert McKimson, and even Mel Blanc, was a nice touch. Some of the best shorts are presented here, including my personal favorite, Duck Amuck, along with Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century, What's Upper Duck, Rabbit Fire, and Operation Rabbit. The Roadrunner shorts are presented more like a best-of series of scenes. Watching them in their original form is preferred, but it's not jarring to see these random bits and pieces put together. While the advent of DVD releases has made this movie more of a curiosity piece, it's hard to go wrong with a 90-minute marathon of classic Looney Tunes cartoons. While that first compilation film was co-directed by Chuck Jones, Friz Freleng was largely responsible for the next couple of ones. The Looney Bugs Bunny movie tried to connect the shorts via a series of stories, and it somewhat worked. The first act is amusing, as we see Yosemite Sam constantly trying to kill Bugs Bunny through various locations and time periods. Also, he can go to hell. Yes, really. The devil even shows up to torment Sam. Then there's Bugs playing detective and trying to catch some criminals. Finally, it ends with an award show where they watch their own cartoons, and Bugs, oddly enough, presents an award to himself. It's a decent compilation, again mainly because of the strength of the shorts. The bridging material is hit or miss, though Daffy is his usual narcissistic self, which is almost always funny. Again, it's a curiosity piece, but it does not come close to the first compilation feature. 1001 Rabbit Tales then tried to implement a running story through the entire film, and again it sort of worked. The idea of Bugs and Daffy as competing book salesmen is actually a decent one, and the film does an okay job of transitioning from the material to the classic shorts. Bugs dealing with a temperamental sultan's son is actually quite funny, especially when Yosemite Sam constantly forces him to return and continue reading to him. The cartoons are severely edited to fit into the main story, but the new animation is amusing enough to make this slightly enjoyable. Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island, on the other hand, is problematic. The cartoons are still amusing, but the new material does not work at all. For starters, we have the odd pairing of Daffy and Speedy Gonzales, certainly one of the lowest periods of the classic Looney Tunes era. I've never understood why they thought these two would be a natural fit together. As a result, the new scenes are not all that funny. Even Daffy is kind of a bore here. The cartoons they choose to showcase are good, but the new scenes take up about half of the film, and it's a bore having to sit through them just to get to the classic shorts. Daffy Duck's Quackbusters, meanwhile, had Daffy inherit a large fortune and have him start a ghost-busting business, and this one was a mixed bag. Seeing Daffy frantically trying to stop his money from being taken away by the ghost who left him all that wealth certainly leads to some amusing moments. However, the transition to the classic cartoons is not at all seamless. Part of the reason, sadly, is that Mel Blanc's health was declining, and in addition to the animation quality, the voices sound very different when jumping from the new scenes to the old. Porky Pig will even have his voice completely changed in the middle of a scene, and it's very jarring. It puts a sad light on the film. The final result is a disappointing way for Mel Blanc to finish his Looney Tunes legacy. With the humongous success of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it was inevitable that the Looney Tunes would also star in their own hybrid feature. The popularity of a series of commercials with the Looney Tunes interacting with Michael Jordan also played a role. However, the resulting film Space Jam proved to be just that, a commercial. One of a number of major issues I have with the film is that rather than being a Looney Tunes movie that just happens to have Michael Jordan, it feels like a Michael Jordan vehicle that just happens to have the Looney Tunes. The whole film seems to exist to trump him up as the greatest basketball player of all time. It's literally about Michael Jordan saving the world and helping the Looney Tunes defeat some aliens. And the Looney Tunes should not be crying for help, as it's completely out of character for them. Space Jam is such a shameless attempt to pander to the 90s generation and get them to buy products. And I would actually forgive some of this if the film was actually funny, but I just don't think it is. To its credit, the animation, as directed by Bruce W. Smith and Tony Simone, is very strong, with the Looney Tunes being excellently animated and well drawn. It's just the script gives them material that's lacking in much wit. In addition to Chuck Jones infamously disliking Space Jam, Joe Dante was another notable director who felt it was a step backwards for the Looney Tunes. So he decided to direct Looney Tunes back in action as a way to return Bugs, Daffy, and the other characters back to their classic personalities. And I think he succeeded in creating a funny tribute to the classic cartoons, and Dante actually let the cartoon characters be the stars and central focus, even with the likes of Brendan Fraser and Steve Martin interacting with them. The jokes worked, the chase scenes were filled with a great amount of sight gags, with a scene in the Louvre being a particular highlight, and best of all were the dimensions added to Bugs and Daffy. Their rivalry has been one of the best aspects to watch unfold in the shorts, and the script nicely showed their relationship. One scene near a campfire was particularly sweet, as it perfectly showed where they stood in their weird friendship. Looney Tunes Back in Action brought back some of the more satirical elements, and kudos also to Eric Goldberg for his great direction on the animation. There have been rumors over the years of future Looney Tunes movies, including one centered around Marvin the Martian, which went as far as an animation test before getting cancelled. There was also talk of SNL alumni Jenny Slate writing a Looney Tunes movie, but I've not heard any details about that in a long time. I will say I'm excited about the upcoming animated series Wabbit, which will return to the format of the classic shorts, and the designs by Jessica Brutsky are a great harkening back to that earlier time while still injecting her unique style into the characters. Overall, the Looney Tunes have had a mixed bag when being placed into feature films, but they've had more successes than misses in that format. See you next time.